What's up, Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. We are live on a Monday, just before Valentine's Day, 2023. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. This is episode 512.
Hey, my phone just told me we're live.
Yeah, we are. Read them and weep. Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. Cry, Eagles, cry. We'll talk about that game. My two favorite Viking fans in the world are here, Adam Carlson and Kyle West. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing pretty good. I see you got a haircut.
I had a vet appointment on Friday with my working dog, and I made the mistake.
And for a second, I thought he had a world tour, but it's not him.
That's true. There is a West Coast Kyle Smith that looks very skaterish, punk rockish. Yeah, I had a vet appointment Friday with my working dog, and I made the mistake that I knew I shouldn't have. I got a haircut on a military base, and they messed my shit all up. So I did the great reset.
Every now and then, it's nice to do that. Go back to square one and just reset it.
None of you guys knew me, and then in the chat, when I'm early in my military career, I used to do this to save $10. Put on a 2 or a 3.
Oh yeah, just buzz it on down.
Yeah, I like it.
That was the cut.
I don't hate it. I think that I can pull it off. Most people know me with hair, but there is a freedom sense of when you just buzz it all down. It's very, very refreshing. So I'll be right.
When I do it, it's very Pugsley.
What's the word?
Pugsley? Like Pugsley Adams?
Family?
Oh,
yeah. It's a good
my bad. My mind went to the dog. I was like, Adam, don't call yourself a dog.
Why not? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
A very, very used quote from my wrestling coach back in the day. I love that quote.
That's what people with small dogs say.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan, how did you give yourself high and tights? I need to understand the process there. Anyways, Kansas City defeats the Philadelphia Eagles last night, 38-35. It was a very fun back and forth game. A lot of drama. We'll talk about the hold, maybe not, but last night you wanted to see both quarterbacks stay healthy. There was a scare there for a minute that Patrick Mahomes may not play, tweaking that ankle that was bothering him the last couple of weeks. But all in all, I mean, both quarterbacks played pretty amazing. That vaunted Philly defense, man, they had a cookie cutter schedule. I'll give it to them. Making it to the Super Bowl is hard no matter what. But when you play Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy as your 2 games to get to the NFC Championship and then the Super Bowl, I'm not surprised. They had
3 former Vikings get rings.
Blake Bell, ISM, and Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, yeah.
McKinnon. Yep.
He would have had a touchdown in the game last night had he not had to go down and do the smart thing for the team. And I know that pains him, but I'm sure that ring probably makes it feel a lot better.
I was watching a stream where somebody was just mad at him for going down. He's like, I took all the fun out of the game, and it would have given the Eagles a chance to play. It's like, that's why he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very smart. Very heads-up play by him. I thought Philadelphia, their defense and the adjustments Kansas City made in the second half were one of the all-time great adjustments. That the Chiefs were doing a lot of get the ball out quick. You know that defensive line is very good. Kelsey's kind of quiet in the second half, but other players stepped up, and Patrick showed off his running abilities. I mean, dude's a Hall of Famer right now. If he retired right now, he'd go in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. It's the craziest, most best start to the first 5 years of a quarterback probably ever. But
he now has as many rings as Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers combined.
As many rings as Peyton, as many rings as Eli. I mean, it's unheard of. John Elway. It's wild. He's so good, and he's only 27. So it's crazy. I think Andy Reid's not done. I think why would you when you have the only guy that we've seen right now, and I'm sure it'll change as we get older and older, but the only guy right now playing that could be in any contention to challenge for Tom Brady status, and he's got a lot of work to do to get there, but he's the best right now. There's no denying it. And fun little factoid, Adam, I know you'll love this. Just a little weird stats we cherry pick and things that we talk about. No team with, I think it's like the last 9 years, that has the MVP playing in the Super Bowl has won the game, and they broke that last night.
No team that won the coin toss has won the game.
That was the other. Pretty cool. The team that wears white the last X number of years has won. They've got the majority there, so that was an advantage if you want to call it one. But let's just talk about it. I think these were the two best teams in football. Would you guys agree?
No.
Who do you think?
I think the best two teams in football right now are the Chiefs and Cincinnati.
That's fair. Played 2
I
weeks ago for the AFC
don't think Philly
Championship.
could have stopped Cincy's offense either.
That Cincinnati defense is super underrated as well.
And you can always make an argument for Buffalo being up there too. Like I think those.
But as far as the best teams from each conference being there, yeah, it was right.
Yeah. 2 number 1 seeds going at it in the high scoring game. It was a lot of fun.
It was a good game. It was a good football
The
game.
line was 50.5. I was surprised it was that low.
Yeah, you got to hammer the over there for sure. So I have to give credit because I've been bragging on this guy for 10 years now. I learned about him 10 years ago. My boy Chris Stapleton sang the national anthem. I was very happy to see that. Usually has a cowboy hat on. Played with
Saw
a
a lot
guitar.
of love for that performance.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool take on it. There were some people on the internet that were angry about it, which, surprise, welcome to Twitter. But
He didn't milk it like a lot of people do.
right, it didn't make it a show. And the one thing that I love about Chris Stapleton is the soul in his voice, and he's very good at runs. If you are musically inclined, he can do those so very well. And I just thought it was a good original take on the song. A little over 2 minutes. Some people didn't like that, but the show that is the Super Bowl, it kind of starts there. Was very happy with that. They made a big event about the coin toss, and the game gets underway. Philly runs down the field. They do their thing. I thought A.J. Brown was en route to possibly winning the Super Bowl MVP. What a great pickup for the Eagles there. He's such a stud. We can talk at any point about any part of the game you want, but is it just me or the commercials were a little underwhelming yesterday? Yeah.
I'll be honest, I wasn't really looking
trailers.
for the commercials weren't really what I was watching for at all.
I'm more for the movie trailers during the Super Bowl. I think those are
Okay, I gotta ask you guys a question.
what's
What's
coming
with
out.
DC canceling the Flash TV show, then making a Flash movie?
Uh,
Are they that wild with this that they just don't care anymore, or what is it?
Two unrelated properties, even though they're both Flash, but like the Flash TV show is a CW property or was a CW property, and so.
But they still
movie-
think that it's profitable enough to make a movie out of it?
Yes.
Well, with the
Also,
advertising they're
Michael
doing,
Keaton.
yeah, that is exactly
Yeah.
where I was going.
Uh-huh.
The advertising they're doing to bring him back, everybody will go see it, me included.
Right.
But
Oh, I'm not seeing it, so not everybody.
okay, not everyone. I was like, what the hell is Michael Keaton doing here? That sparked my interest.
Yeah, for a second I was like, is this another Justice League? What is this? I was like, okay, they haven't shown Wonder Woman, and they would advertise the heck out of Wonder Woman if she was in it.
That's exactly what I said too, Adam. I looked at, I invited probably one of my lifelong friends last night and his fiance over to watch, and we just kind of looked at each other. It's like, are we doing Justice League again? How do they keep this quiet? They figured I would have saw something on Twitter about it, but to try to pull eyeballs and get Michael Keaton back in there, they'll definitely get some views. But
As a big Zoolander fan, the Pepsi Zero ad was my favorite because it was very Zoolander.
I enjoyed that one a lot. Everyone was talking about the Tubi commercial. A lot of people.
Oh, that got people good.
Got a lot of people, which is hilarious.
I think the worst commercial was probably the Blue Moon commercial.
I don't
Is
remember
this
that
a commercial? Is this a commercial for Miller Lite or is this a commercial for Coors Light?
I don't know. I
And they
thought
got
that
the
was
two
pretty
like
fun.
fighting.
I
Yeah,
liked
but
it.
if I didn't tell you it was for Blue Moon, you'd have thought it was either for Coors Light or Miller Lite.
I
Right.
assume all three of them went in on it. I don't know.
What's up, Devin? What's up, Dante? Skull to both of you. Thank you for joining us. We're recapping the Super Bowl.
I think the most discussion from the whole night was whether or not the Rihanna halftime show was good or not.
She's an international superstar. I think it was cool that the setup, the aesthetics of it was cool. I don't know a ton of her music, but I do know that she is musically very
Yeah, I don't know
impressive.
enough of her catalog to really enjoy the show as much as others did, I guess.
And I give the respect for someone coming up when you're pregnant and showing like she was to be doing any kind of performing. So,
But for not
was
having
cool.
any special guests at all and having kind of a lower energy show, it was a little strange compared to past performances. And I wonder if this is new for the Apple halftime show instead of the Pepsi halftime show.
Oh, that's right. Apple did promote the shit out of that. Yeah, it was a little, I don't want to say underwhelming because I don't want to take away from her. She's wonderful. It wasn't as star-studded, especially even just a year ago. I mean, that one in LA was one for the ages with all the names that were there. But it was a cool aesthetic. I love the floating platforms. That was a cool idea.
Floating? They were not floating. They were suspended.
I know, but it looked like they were floating. It was kind of cool, you know. I was kind of scared for it. I was like,
me and my nephew looked at each other. We both said floating to each other. Like, look at the cables.
Which is crazy because they have an open like dome there, right? So I don't know where the heck those were lined up to, but that was cool.
And the field, I mean,
yeah.
Ugh.
A lot of dancing. I'm a rock and roll guy, which is why my favorite commercial was the Crown Royal with Dave Grohl. I love the homage they paid to Canada with that one, but I'd love to see a band like that play, but that's not going to bring in as many eyeballs as Rihanna. It's safe to say she's bigger than the Foo Fighters.
Wes, what's up, man? You could not call a penalty all game or in a crucial spot just because you haven't been calling them throughout the game. You gotta call that. And even the player that was flagged after the game in the locker room said he did grab, and he just didn't think he was going to get caught.
It's the timing was unfortunate in my opinion, but I do think Philadelphia got 2 calls earlier in the game too. I'm not sure that Dallas Goedert catch was a catch, and I also think if this had went Kansas City's way, that safety would have won the MVP for them. He would have had 2 defensive return touchdowns in a game. He was flying all over the place. I think number 32. I don't remember his name.
That was such a close call on whether or not that was enough possession to be a fumble or
it looked like enough for me because he started to turn around and go forward. I was like, you might have given that one back to Philly. So for this at the time, at the very end of the game with all the eyeballs and the nail-biting atmosphere, yeah, it's deflating. But the refs have been horrible all year anyways, but I don't think that was the reason that the Philadelphia Eagles lost the game. You can't have 0 sacks and have the 3rd most sacks in NFL history in a season and then have no sacks in the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes. That's on your coaching and your players to not execute. That's just my opinion.
Well, we all know Eli Apple's opinion.
Oh, that guy's a character. Oof.
As if he needs Chiefs fans to hate him anymore.
Also, talking about players that got rings, I didn't know Melvin Gordon was a Kansas City Chief. He got a ring last night, posing with a trophy and no stat line. So weird.
Just waiting for the Vikings to sign Eli Apple.
Oh, yeah. Kyle's been calling that. He's going to make that a thing. He's going to manifest it.
Don't want
but going forward about
happen.
the game, the game's over. This is arguably the worst time of the year for me. Thank God I have UFC almost every weekend to do something to watch,
Yeah, we're into draft speculation time now, and this time of year I don't think is as fun at all.
It's not. And the Vikings being as good as they were this past season, they're not going to do any flashy picks here, we assume. So they're going to be picking in the early 20s, and we'll talk about that.
Oh, he's trading out of the first round. I have like a 3% chance that we draft in the first round. Like, that's not... He's going back. He's picking up more picks. We're coming back on day 2. Like, come to terms with it now, folks.
Well, I was going to talk about Philly, but let's talk about the Vikings, man. We haven't talked about them yet to start the show. 15 minutes in. There's an interesting stat. I'm going to read it to you. I'm not going to send it on here just because it's just hilarious to think about. Since 2009, since the Saints won the Super Bowl, the base salary of the leading rusher, and I'm not going to name all of them, but I'll give you some highlights. Pierre Thomas, $460,000. 2011 Giants, Ahmad Bradshaw, $1.5 million. The most expensive one, Percy Harvin, 2013 Seahawks. Leading rusher, wasn't a running back. Since Percy Harvin, only 2 players had $1 million salaries of any kind, Leonard Fournette and Damian Williams. The rest are $730,000, $585,000, $760,000, $890,000, just to name a few. Yesterday, Isaiah Pacheco, $870 base salary. Now, you can throw the salary cap all in different kind of ways. We were kind of talking about it last week, but this leads right up to set. I'm teeing you up, Kyle West.
So are you telling me that it's financially not a good decision to overpay an aging running back?
But you are seeing a lot of the people that say you can't win a Super Bowl on a quarterback with a big contract. That's not true at all.
Not true. The salary cap's going to keep going up. And I want to talk about that because I have Spot Track here available. 2023 Kirk Cousins. Base salary of $10 million. Roster bonus of $20 million. Signing bonus of $6.25. So that's $36.25 million. It's a lot. That's still nowhere near Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, whatever he's going to get. That's nowhere near that. So, yeah. I remember the reason I bring up Kirk is we're going to talk about him in our positional breakdown. Kyle West, give him all the credit. We're going to talk about position by position group this offseason to kind of stretch it out until the draft. But I just remember when Kirk came over and he got this guaranteed money like a genius and like a boss that he is, that Vikings Twitter was up in arms for years about that. The longer it goes on, the more sensible that contract is. This past season, base salary of $5 million, signing of 16, roster of 10, cap hit $31 million. That is a very team-friendly number. Whether you love him or hate him, it's great.
I want to sidestep just for a second and talk about something that I've seen posted by multiple outlets. The whole Justin Jefferson's fifth-year option is going to be a bargain. If the Vikings don't extend him by the time his fifth-year option comes around, he ain't going to stick around.
No.
Correct.
It'll be an extension, for sure. For sure.
So let's stop with this fifth-year option stuff because the Vikings are going to lock him down as soon as they can with whatever money they have.
This isn't to take away from anything from Kyle West because I know you're the biggest Randy Moss fan here, but this is the best wide receiver, biggest superstar wide receiver we've seen in the whole NFL in like a decade since the end of Randy Moss's career. It's what Adam said. You don't let that guy leave.
He's the face of the franchise. You are going to put his face on everything for the Vikings. You don't let him walk out the door.
I don't know. The way I've been reading, I'm under the impression that the Vikings are going to do something with his contract like this offseason.
They very well may.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting to happen because they have to figure out, they have him and they have Hawkinson and Kirk too, that those are three big contracts that they have to figure out so that they can decide where they're paying the rest of these players. And that loops back to your very first point you brought up, Kyle Smith, about running backs, because there was the story that Dalvin Cook is essentially not willing to take any kind of a pay cut to be with the Vikings.
He said, why would I?
Which, to be fair, why would he? He was healthy. All season, he had over 1,000 yards.
He's still a top 5 running back. I'm going to die on that hill, but
correct.
It's a large.
He played all season with a shoulder harness, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that might explain why he had the lowest yards per carry of his career.
Jonathan and as well Michael said, "Happy birthday! Happy birthday to your son!" If you
little John.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we got that in there while we had that comment up. What's up, Cliff? Cliff says he'll play running back if you pay him. Hey, put him out there. Let's see. What's up, Michael? So, yeah, I'm not sure. We were talking about how they can throw money around. They may turn the base salary down a notch and still give him the same amount of money in different places, but it's just something to think about. I'm not saying that this is what we should do as a Vikings team, but I will say we all agreed that Dalvin Cook's numbers went down this year because the Vikings are airing it out more.
The two players in the biggest danger of not being here that Vikings fans love is it's got to be Adam Thielen and Eric Kendricks.
Yep.
Those two guys got to be the first two on the chopping block, and I'd love to see them both stay just because they've both been Vikings for so long and I've enjoyed watching them play, but I can't have those nostalgia goggles on and not think about the team going forward.
That was a little bit one of the faults of Rick Spielman was having you've done really good for us, so we're going to reward you with another 2 or 3 year contract at the end when we probably should have moved on from you. I do think you can make a case for keeping like an Adam Thielen if the price is right and he understands the role that he's going to be playing with the team moving forward. If he's not willing to do that, I think you have to move on from him. Someone like a Kendricks, I'm pretty sure he's gone based on his play. And Cook is a guy that if it's a no-go on restructuring his contract, you have to think that there's a suitor out there for him.
100%.
Whether it's a draft day trade. Now, I don't know if you're getting a 2 or a 3 or what you're getting for Cook. out there, but I think that you can get something for him in return to help build this team, particularly on defense.
Yeah, I sent it in the group chat between the three of us. Kyle West's dream scenario trade. Mine too. It's not going to happen, but there's a connection with Miami with a new defensive coordinator for the Vikings, Brian Flores. Dalvin Cook straight up for Xavier Howard. We'll take it. They need a running back. We need a corner. Let's do it. Why not? Who says no, as Twitter would say lately? Who says no to this trade? I agree with you, man. And it's the same thing. You guys can check it out. I highly recommend. And I have to pat them on the back, pun intended, for Pat McAfee. But holy crap, that brand has grown so big. They did a whole show in a nice studio.
Let's not get sued, though.
What's that?
Let's not get sued.
Yeah, let's not get sued like he's getting sued by Brett Favre.
Allegedly.
He had Adam Thielen on, and it was hilarious because they'll play into the stupid stuff on that. That's what they built that brand on. But basically said, hey, let's talk about the contract situation right away. And he's like, well, why don't you just tell the Vikings, just give me the guaranteed money, and we'll just do it now. They can do whatever they want there. And they said, I think we just solved your contract situation for you. He's like, yeah, now that's out of the way. Joking, of course. Check out the interview. Interesting plans. I won't give the interview away. I'd like you to watch it and comment back to us. But Adam Thielen does have a plan after football, and it is very smart. He's very good at it, and I'll leave it at that. But, Kyle, let's talk about Kirk Cousins, man. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. I'm going to pull up his stats for everyone.
Well, we are going to spend this offseason from now until the draft and do some positional breakdowns, where we're going to look at each group and we're going to talk about who's on the roster and what moves we think the team should do, whether it be through draft or free agency, and just kind of discuss what direction that we think the team is going to be headed in.
All right, I've done zero research for this, but my question is what quarterbacks do the Vikings have on the roster heading into 23?
Honestly, I think it's just Kirk Cousins right now, because Nick Mullins is listed as a free agent.
That's not great.
Yeah, so
not good at all.
Right. So there is going to be some move somewhere that the team has to do. We can start with Kirk. Obviously, he's going to be the starter. I think we're all expecting a contract extension for Cousins, correct?
To lower that hit, yeah.
Yeah, to lower the hit.
Because I do believe that everybody there believes in Kirk, and it seems like Justin Jefferson is very pleased with Kirk too. And I think if you extend Kirk, you will make your star receiver happy too. So, I mean, it's really win all around.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Kirk is 34 right this moment. 34 years old and 186 days to be exact. He will be 35 this season. And that's like the tail end of like great for most players at that position. You get him for 2 more years. Kirk Cousins will be here this year and next year. And then I think this coaching staff has to look at who's going to replace him. And they very, very may well find a quarterback in this draft high or the next year. But I'm saying starting-wise, Kirk Cousins will be here another 2 years. That's my sensible think that majority is going to happen. At 36, going into 37, you don't know how long he's going to keep staying up. He's been very durable, which is great. He takes care of his body very well, but you've got to look at the succession plan there. And like if we had been a shittier team this year, I mean, there are some good quarterbacks coming out this year.
Yeah.
In 2 years from now, here's my plan. I've said it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say it.
Arch Manning.
Arch Manning to the Vikings. I want that name in a purple jersey playing for us, 3 years from now. But
that's us and 31 other fan bases.
I just want that lineage, man. He's going to know how to play. He's been playing football since he's probably 5 years old. But
yeah,
I think that my situation I just explained, I think that makes the most sense. We know what Kirk is, but you give him the opportunity with a coach who wants to coach him, is friendly with him, and kind of caters to him. Because since Kirk has arrived in 2018, he has went from oh my God, he's getting sacked. Oh shit, he fumbled the ball. Super conservative, like don't make mistakes kind of quarterback to I'm going to let it rip and we're going to see what happens. And since the evolution of Justin Jefferson, it's worked out pretty well. If last year was a sign of things to come and the defense gets turned around, which all three of us and all of us in the chat think it will, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't stick with him.
We have said this and we'll continue to say it. If the Vikings defense last season was middle of the pack, we're beating the Giants in the playoffs and going on to the next round.
Sure.
I still don't necessarily know if they were a Super Bowl contending or winning team, but you just got to get that defense up to middle of the road. And as for Kirk, I mean, he has shown to me that he thrives and works really well in this offense. Like you said, Smith, I think you can get him on a 2-year deal. You can worry about what you're doing. That gives you time to not have to force a pick. And do the ponder thing where it's like, oh, we don't have a quarterback, we got to grab someone right now. You're giving yourself a little bit of a cushion to figure out what you're doing. What you got up here? Some stats?
Yeah, just showing you guys. This isn't his best statistical season by any means, but 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, a 92.5 rating, a solid rating. I mean, almost every game you're going to get 2 touchdowns and 100 rating, almost every one. Yeah. 3 here, 4 against the Colts, 3 against the Giants. I mean, he shows up, and this is a playoff game right here. 2 touchdowns, no picks, 112 rating. He's not the issue here. There's a list of things wrong with the team, and it doesn't start or have Kirk, I think, in the first 5 to be mentioned. I don't think that's what it is.
I don't think so either.
I wanted to bring that up. 4,500 yards. I mean, Jesus, he's great. 65. So we'll round it up. 66% completion. He's everything that you want, and that's the one thing where I had talked on Twitter the other day with some other Viking fans on another show after our podcast, just trying to get the brand and the name out there. Hey guys, follow me. And it's like I think we know what Kirk is. I don't know if he's necessarily Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I think he could get you there if everything goes right, much like the regular season did for us, right? A lot of luck happened. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when he's gone, I want you guys to think back to when they truly had a franchise quarterback, and his name starts with Fran and ends in Tarkenton. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. This franchise, for whatever reason, is not known for drafting and developing quarterbacks. They don't have the longevity like Indianapolis had with Peyton, Green Bay had with Favre and Rodgers.
Throw Dante Culpepper in there before his injury. He looked like he was going to be a franchise guy.
Right.
That's a good point. It sucks because that's not what this franchise is known for. There's been a lot. God bless them. They've swung a lot, but they've missed a lot. So I think when all is said and done and the Kirk Cousins era comes to an end, the percentages say that they're not going to have somebody to replace him who's equal or better. That's just the math here. I think you're going to miss him for all the people that hate his guts for whatever weird reason. Mm-hmm. You're going to miss him because he's going to show up. He's not going to be injured. And most of the time, he's not going to make a dumb play, which I love about him. And let's not forget it, too. I'll die on this Kirk Cousins hill one more time. Who gave Justin Jefferson all those yards the last 3 years?
Kirk.
Hate the guy all you want. He's pretty good. One of the smarter moves in free agent acquisitions of the franchise.
I mean, I had said prior to the season when there were some other Vikings podcasts that were on this, oh, you got to tank and you got to get rid of Kirk. You can trade Kirk and you can get all these assets from the 49ers. You guys remember when I said if you're trading Kirk, you might as well package Justin Jefferson with him? Because if you and I was serious, and I still stand by that too, that if you were to bring in some shitty bridge, terrible quarterback, you're going to piss off Justin Jefferson, and he's not going to stick around, and he's going to Stephon Diggs his way out of here too, because he's not going to waste his career with that kind of crap.
For sure. And as much as right now, Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, I don't know if this is how he feels, but I have a feeling that it might be. As much as he likes being the face of the franchise, and he rightfully should be, he's going to want to try to compete for a title at some point. And if you don't make every effort to make that happen, like you said, with Diggs, he's going to try to find his way out of here. Let's not get it twisted. Diggs and Cousins are very good friends. He had a lot of good plays with him and a lot of touchdowns, but he wanted to go to a more air-centric, offense. I think he landed in the very perfect spot there, or the Chargers would have been excellent for him to go to. But even he's sick of, getting stopped and not winning now. He was very upset, and he was being his typical Stephon Diggs self during Super Bowl week in interviews and stuff. But you don't want to piss that kid off because he's a generational talent, and he's on his way to being one of the best ever right now if it stays at the trajectory it's at. And I don't know. I think we got the perfect coach for him, a good system and scheme. But I don't get it, man. I'm with you. I don't understand the Kirk Cousins.
So now that the NFL season is over, the big question I got to ask both you guys: is the NFL rigged?
No, no, that's ridiculous.
As much, and I'll lean into the theory of if it was okay, these guys are getting paid millions, it's fun, blah blah blah. Here's the stories that make me believe the NFL is not rigged. Yeah, and think about stories like Michael Jordan, right? Best ever to play the game for basketball. He was so competitive outside of basketball. The stories are endless about he'll play you in poker on the flight there just to steal your money. You know,
Right.
He'll play you in golf. He'll do this. He'll make bets on anything.
I used to love the stories of him and Charles Barkley just competing for on anything.
On anything, right? These are the most uber competitive individuals in the world. And guess what? They're testosterone-filled alpha males, most of them. I can't see any of them. Like, I can't just imagine who's a person with, like, an excellent physique in the NFL. DK Metcalf. I can't see him walking in and being like, we're getting blown out by the 49ers today. All right, sounds good.
I'm dropping a big pass tonight. Okay.
Yeah. Not a fucking chance, man. No way.
I mean, no, it is not scripted like WWE. The only thing that you could possibly argue for is, could there have been I don't know how long the NFL's been around, but over the history of the league, could you have had a corrupt official here or there who was paid off to make a bad call or to try to swing a game in one way or another? Sure, that happens. That happens over in European soccer. They actually have had quite an issue with that over the time. So is it possible? Yeah. Does it happen as often as fans think? No. And we're guilty of it too, because every time we get a bad call, we think the refs are paid off, whatever. But no, I don't think that's
a good segue, Kyle. Happening. That's what I would say to you, Adam. The only problem the NFL has with anything along that line, it's not even a script or being rigged. It's the officiating's got to be better. At this level, with all the lights and cameras and eyeballs on you, it has to be better.
And the only way to really make officiating better is to make the officials full-time. And to do that, you got to pay them during the off-season. What do you do? Do you, like, set up classes and stuff to keep them busy, or what do you do?
I mean, fucking, it looks like they need them.
They need to. I mean, and I'm not taking a jab at teachers for any of this because teachers are great, but that's one of those where, they don't work every single day of the year. They have a chunk of time off. But the work that they do for what they do is so important. Yes. Pay them enough time.
Well, I don't know. It wouldn't quite work because it's a different rule set. But, I mean, you got two other leagues now. You got the XFL and the USFL. I mean, if you're paying them full time, why couldn't they work? You're paying them for both leagues, but then the rule sets they're different enough that you wouldn't, I don't know. So that's not.
Because a lot of those guys that are, making judgments on the football field are the same ones that are, adjusting insurance claims and things like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. For how much revenue this sport brings in and for how much, that's a good comment right there. Charlotte says it's not rigged, it's a soap opera. Yeah, they're going to do what they can to get the drama and the eyeballs. They're going to get you talking.
Oh, yeah.
There's a sports entertainment element to football, but the gameplay is absolutely real.
Yeah.
Just at the end, back to the referees, though. Yeah, there needs to be better consistency, and I think the standard just needs to be raised 5 to 10%. If it stays at 5 to 10% better across the board, we're good. Like those ticky-tack calls about roughing the passer. Get that shit out of here.
I believe Goodell said there wasn't a problem with any officiating in the league this year.
Well,
of course he's going to say that.
All right, dude. There's no problem with you and how you handled some people beating their wives and all that shit too. But we don't want to talk. We don't talk about that.
I'm going to make an odd comparison. Adam, maybe you'll get it a little bit too here. But so I play a lot of Destiny 2. I'm a really big Destiny 2 player, and that game has gotten so big in so many systems and. There's different seasons and different currencies and all this shit that goes on. And Bungie finally said, hey, we've got to spend some time and do some maintenance to this game. And we're going to streamline and we're going to cut out some stuff and we're going to trim it down and we're just going to make the game function better. What the NFL really needs to do is we're going to pull out the rule book. And this rule book is the size of a dictionary. And we're going to go through this line by line and we are going to update it, the entire thing, and we're going to streamline it, and we're going to make it reflect the way we want the game moving forward, so that we don't have to, every off-season, hey, here's our new point of emphasis that we made up. No, we're going to go in and we're going to fix it once, and then we're going to move forward with it, and we're going to define things. We're going to define what a catch is. They need to do that.
It's a lot like politics, man, like our Constitution for the United States. They keep trying to make these bills to change things and take things away. Just update the damn thing. I mean,
okay, I got to ask you guys one question about the Super Bowl because I didn't understand this. Okay, so there was a penalty for offsides against the Chiefs in that game, but I thought the defense could go offsides as long as they established themselves back onsides before the snap.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't.
The only jumps that I noticed
thought they could only
yesterday.
to the flag if they touched an offensive player.
I'm not.
So to me, that flag really made me question. I was like, is that a rule that's changed, or am I just wrong here, remembering the rule wrong?
Well, we should talk about that in our personal chat. I have to see a visual for what you're talking
I would
about.
have to.
The only thing that I saw yesterday that consistently happened, that it's been happening all year, and people have pointed out on Twitter, is Lane Johnson or either their guard or their tackle is always early. And I mean, he gets away with it every play. And it's very close, but yeah, I'm not sure. Cliff, what are you laughing at, man? Tell us more. We want to know. Love this new format on StreamYard, by the way. Love this. You get to see our names and our handles and everything. Yeah, no, we don't. We don't have a clue. We'll put it up. I'll have to look at it, man. I'm a visual learner, so that's how I'm going to.
Yeah, I looked at my nephew, and both of us were just like confused. We were both just baffled at that flag. I said, I thought he could get back on the line and establish himself.
If what you're saying is what I'm thinking, so you have a false start where one of the offensive linemen jumps before the ball snap.
Nope, offensive linemen don't move. This was a defender that crossed the line.
I'm getting there. Yeah, that would be a false start on the offensive side if one of the offensive players moved. For what you're saying, for a defensive player, is it when they cross the line of scrimmage and go back?
Right.
I want to see this play you're talking about. I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, because it was flagged for offsides, and I was like, I didn't think they could get him for offsides on that. They could get encroachment if he touched him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But he didn't come into contact with him when they did the replay, so it's just...
It is rigged. We just broke the system.
There's a big orange cat.
Crawling up behind your head. Yeah, this is tough, man. This is the worst time of the year for us. And I get it, like we're halfway through February tomorrow. March will be here, and then April is the draft. It's not that far away. And since COVID, we've had a wonderful, fun time doing the live draft coverage. But these next 7 weeks are brutal. I got to put a
request in for work for that day off.
Those 3 days? All 3?
Nah, just the first round.
It sucks, too, because for us, as Viking fans, we kind of know where they might lean. At least I have a good 3 guesses I think they would go with. It's up to what Kyle was saying earlier. I don't know if they're going to trade back. They don't have as many picks. They gave up a pick to get Hawkinson, and you would think they would like to have a little more. And let's be honest, Zadarius Smith picking up the rookie punter is amazing. And then Hawkinson, they picked up some good players. They didn't have a lot of contribution.
Hey, we will find out if the new general manager is insane and is just like, hey, we're trading TJ Hawkinson and going up in the top 5 and drafting a quarterback. Like,
I'd be so pissed. I love
you can already say the new GM is better at trading for tight ends than the previous one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. We never talked about backup quarterback real quick. We should probably do that here.
We did because there's not one.
Yeah, there is not one. Right, so there's not much to discuss. The list of players is like a who's who of people you don't really want on your roster in terms of free agents. You want Nathan Peterman? You can get Nathan Peterman. You want Jeff Driscoll? You can get Jeff Driscoll. Nick Mullins.
I do want.
We'll have to wait and see if Kyle Sloter tears it up in the XFL to see if somebody signs him again.
Do his reunion tour with Minnesota.
You're right. Are we leaning probably that Nick Mullins comes back?
I hope so.
I'm hoping.
So I want to go on my little spiel about that. That is the one thing last year of anything that they did is my favorite. We didn't have even. I've already forgotten his name. The guy we didn't like. He started the game in Christmas the year before.
Oh, there's a couple of them.
The quarterback, Sean Mannion.
Oh,
they immediately addressed that. That was my favorite thing.
Either.
Thank God. No. That was my favorite thing they did. They addressed that. Now I get it. Kirk liked Sean Mannion, but he was not a good football player. Great mind, probably a good coach. could watch film and dissect very well. Bring him in as a coach all day long. But that was my favorite thing that this regime has done. They're like, get him out of here, because if somebody has to come in, it's got to be way better than that. So I appreciated that.
Some other interesting names on here. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jimmy G, Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph, Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith, he's going to stay in Seattle, Joe Flacco, probably going to retire, Andy Dalton, Mike White, CJ Beathard.
Vikings fans really love Case Keenum.
Right. Where was I?
I don't want Case here because I don't want to hear that. For Kirk has a bad game, they'll be like, put Case Keenum in. No, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop.
Cooper Rush, I mean, he beat the shit out of us.
Twice.
That would be twice. That would be an interesting option.
Deal somewhere.
Andy Dalton would probably be the only one I would be down with outside of, and my dad said this today. I'm not going to put him on blast for what he said because I don't think he truly grasped how good Mahomes is and how good this other guy is. But he's like, I wonder what Derek Carr's going to do. You think he's going to be a backup for the Chiefs? I was like, he's going to sign a very big deal somewhere else, Dad. That is a starting quarterback for sure. I was like, you know who you should call? Call Baker Mayfield and see if he wants to back up Patrick Mahomes. Number one overall pick. Baker Mayfield would be a cool backup plan. I think he's very serviceable, but how much are you going to pay him?
The list also has Tom Brady listed. So do you think he will come be a backup to Kirk Cousins in Minnesota?
No.
He could throw to Justin Jefferson in training camp.
That's about as big as Tebow mania of a circus that I would never want near Minnesota.
That would be amazing.
Unless they were just like all in very last year. He's coming to Minnesota. Then you just
think Kirk will throw to his receivers this offseason?
I don't think that matters, as we decided.
Well, we decided that, but everybody else thinks it's terrible that he doesn't or didn't.
Right. So they're going to have to draft or do the undrafted free agent route with some kind of younger players.
To get a wide receiver 3 after they get a backup, or do you think that'll be the backup?
Well, no, I'm talking quarterback.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the undrafted or the drafted for QB2 or QB3?
I'm assuming Nick Mullins comes back to fill in that veteran role, so you're probably looking at an undrafted rookie that you can bring in, someone that's going to be on your practice squad, your training camp, like that kind of body. That's kind of what I think right now.
It's going to be another wild year for quarterbacks too. Let's talk about that for a minute because it's just fun. We don't have too much Vikings talk about, but Tom Brady officially retires. He's done. An era is done there. Aaron Rodgers is off in his closet for 4 days to do whatever he needs to do to come back.
Closet.
They're going to trade
with the number 1 overall pick that probably won't draft a quarterback this draft.
There's going to be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round, I believe. Houston will take one. Indianapolis, Atlanta really needs one unless they sign a free agent, and then Carolina, and they're all in the top 10. And
Young, Stroud, Levis, and Richardson will probably all be first rounders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking about guys like Jimmy G. We've heard on Twitter a bunch that relationship is not good in San Francisco. They have Purdy. He's probably not going to play for the whole year. So you're really banking on Trey Lance being healthy.
I kind of want Levinson just because I'm a fan of The Office. Levinson, no Gould.
It's such a good reference. And then you're thinking about Derek Carr is going to be a big splash somewhere, which he has said today. He didn't agree with anything with the Saints. I think he either wants to be traded or cut so he can pick where he wants to go. He'll be a hot commodity.
And I don't blame him, but he's basically saying they're going to have to release him so he's a free agent and he can negotiate his own contract and sign.
Were we talking about Michael Thomas?
Derek Carr, because there was a big link to the Saints.
Derek Carr or David Carr, whichever you prefer.
I prefer Derek Carr's football skills. I also prefer Derek Carr's analyst skills because his brother is annoying.
Which Carr was a Vikings corner?
Oh,
we had one of them too.
Yeah, we did. Who was that? Brandon Carr?
Maybe.
Was it a Brandon Carr? Someone in the chat tell us.
Because I don't remember.
I remember that.
I know we had one. I don't remember what the first name was.
Was that late Leslie Frazier, do you think?
I think so.
Right before Mike Zimmer came on the team. Yeah.
That's why we erased it out of our brains. Those defenses were historically bad. That 2011 defense was awful. Oof.
It's crazy how you can be a good coordinator, like Leslie Frazier, a good defensive coordinator, and then he gets the head coach job, and it's just the defense slowly deteriorates and falls apart. And then he goes to Buffalo, doing what he does, and gets that defense right back to where it should be. It's just
and he
crazy.
will probably get another head coaching opportunity here soon.
And he probably should.
It's also a testament to who they draft too. You've got to get good players. You got to have a good free agent signings for it to work. But Buffalo's done an amazing job.
I would have put money before the season on the Seahawks not winning a game all year, but their draft was so good that they just won games over and over.
Great running back, 2 tackles. Geno Smith having a renaissance year.
There's that really tired discussion about how, you got to have a rookie quarterback to make a playoff push because of the money you save on the salary cap. And like you said at the beginning of the show, Smith, it's kind of bullshit. You really need to hit on your whole draft class like Seattle did.
I mean, look at the Eagles with the money they had left over. They brought in guys like Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. Mm-hmm. And in the end, those guys, they were older, more established players, but they really didn't help much.
Here's what you need, and it's not like this is not new information for anyone. Your head coach has to be awesome, right? You'll have good schemes defensively and offensively, each coordinator, right? You need to have one superstar at every group. Break down the Eagles. I think they're the best roster in the NFL. Cornerback, Darius Slay, otherworldly. Mm-hmm. What does he do? Elevates the rest of the secondary. I don't know any of the Eagle linebackers, but to offset that entire defensive line is scary. It's scary. They're all good. And some are younger than others. Some veteran players, like Adam mentioned, Sue got signed there. I think Linval Joseph went there. Flip it over. Jason Kelsey is a Hall of Famer at center. Lane Johnson's ridiculous. Their tackles are great. I don't think they have superstar running back necessarily, but the quarterback makes up for that. Quarterback's a superstar. He's great. And then you go in the offseason, you're like, well, Devontae Smith's pretty good, but let's just go get this big-bodied motherfucker named A.J. Brown from the Titans. And they got him for nothing. For nothing.
Do you call Philly and try to send them Dalvin Cook?
If they would take him.
Would they?
I don't know that they need him.
I don't think they do either. I think they're happy with the young guys they got.
They're doing exactly what the Vikings did in 2017. And I said it last night because I kept looking for Jerick McKinnon on the field. I was like, I'm so happy for this dude. They're doing the stable thing and having that quarterback being able to run like he does. You don't need a Derrick Henry on that team. You don't need it.
My friend Jeff messaged me during the game yesterday, and he's like, hey, wasn't Jerick McKinnon a Viking? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that's the only way you'll ever see a Viking in the Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
Oh snap.
Like, fuck you, Jeff.
It hurts so much.
Kind of accurate, though.
Poor Blake Bell inactive.
Yeah.
And I think up until, we're going to have a lot of changes, but I think the Vikings did that pretty well this year. If you take a look at our team, Patrick Peterson's and Harrison Smith, the secondary, the cornerstones. The linebackers weren't good, but the names looked good before the season started. I know you have inside and middle and now outside that we changed to 3-4, but the edge rushers, I'm going to call them because that's what they are. They're superstars. I really liked the addition of Harrison Phillips. Dalvin Tomlinson's great. You just have to shore up the line, man. I think that's the glaring need on this team. Outside of corner, I want to see the line get better, even though it's not bad. I really think we talked about this last week. I think Garrett Bradbury comes back on a friendly deal. But I right guard could be better. Center could be better.
I say this every year, I feel like, but I don't think the offensive side of the ball is going to get a lot of attention this offseason. The offense is doing okay. I mean, there's still times that I'd like to see them pick up a third down more often than not, but otherwise, they've got a lot of really good pieces in place and a lot of good players that they can use to pick up those first downs and move the ball. So I don't think offense is going to get nearly as much attention as the defense. And this defensive coordinator needs to bring in the personnel that will make the system work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the cool thing that we've seen on Twitter
free agency
about this defensive coordinator, because this is the one we all wanted, I think, unanimously. He's got such a reputation from his head coaching not too long ago. He can get a key player, at least one, and they can make it work. So I love that because when Andre Patterson left, I was hurt. He's so good for the team,
yeah.
right? Now look at New York. Their defensive line is amazing. He's going to bring players with him, and he can recruit people in.
And you really have to hope that Lewis Cine is healthy. By all accounts, from what we're seeing of the videos he's posted, he looks like he's going to be ready to go. The question now is, are they going to be able to use him? You know, we need to see him on the field, out there being productive for this team. I really think Lewis Cine needs to be a big factor in the defense for the Vikings for them to win.
Same thing for Andrew Booth, man. He's a second-round pick. He's an aggressive corner. He has Xavier Rhodes written all over him by the way he plays from everything that I watched in the highlights on the internet. And I'd love to see him make his way into the rotation because, and this is no dig because I like both of these players, but when you have to compete against Cam Dantzler and Caleb Evans, you got a shot to start. They're good. I like them.
No,
but
I know
they're banged up and they're young, and that spot is so for the taking. Opposite of Patrick Peterson, it's so for the taking right now.
I'm actually a little bit scared that the Vikings don't sign Patrick Peterson back because I don't see any real corner on the roster that makes me say, okay, I'm very comfortable with this.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one, but you're right, Adam. He even with him, he's getting older, and I don't want to see him get exposed. What do I always say, man? You got to Bill Belichick it. If you got to let him go early a year, let him go early a year. But I think he wants to be here. I'll say that. I think he wants to play. And what defensive player doesn't want to play for Brian Flores as your defensive coordinator? You know?
And I'd like to see Zadarius Smith come back healthy and be on the tear he was on at the start of the season.
Yep. He was good to start the season. And it was. The fall off, probably due to an injury or whatever, was disappointing. Danielle Hunter, again, you can go back and forth on Danielle Hunter, and we'll talk about that when we get to their, more in depth when we do the breakdowns. But that comes to the new coordinator, Brian Flores, sitting down and hopefully coming up with a plan. Like, okay, we're going to run a 3-4, but this is how we're going to maximize Danielle Hunter in this system and put him in situations where he can succeed. And for him, that's rushing the quarterback. I seen another article that was talking about how, Harrison Smith is pretty good when you use him to sniff around the line of scrimmage and use him to get pressure to go after the quarterback. And the Vikings didn't really do that with him last year. So part of the drop-off with him was because he was asked to play so far back in coverage. So, he's getting older, but if you're going to use Harrison Smith in ways that are going to make him succeed, you can talk yourself really easily into keeping him on the roster.
What if Brian Flores comes out in week 1 with the umbrella?
Oh, I can't wait to get on Twitter that day. You guys want to hear a depressing stat? I just looked it up while you guys were talking.
Sure.
So with the Mike Zimmer final year, we had it on the show. I remember very specifically because I was at my father's house. I was still living there at the time. We were second overall in the league in sacks, and we're like, how? This defense sucks.
Yeah.
Guess what our number ranks out of 32 teams this year for sacks?
I have no idea.
Just throw a dart at a number.
It's got to be awful. What,
22.
17th?
It's 22nd. It's so bad. We're amongst the Rams, and their defense was just a bunch of corpses. We're tied with the Rams, and we're one behind the Texans and the Titans and the Lions, just above the Broncos. Just to give you a perspective, 38 sacks on the year. Philadelphia, 70.
Oh.
Kansas City, 55. New England, 54. Dallas, 54.
Where was Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, 40.
Okay.
So we were close to them. That middle of the pack, Philadelphia separated themselves by 15 sacks, which is unheard of. But, yeah, 55, 54, 48, 45. Cowboys, Saints, Ravens, Jets, Seahawks, Buccaneers. Yeah, there's a little bit of a drop-off.
We do have to give a lot of respect to Kirk Cousins, though, for hanging in that pocket and taking hits this year because it's just unbelievable the amount of punishment that he took.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think that Kevin O'Connell brought to him is saying, it's okay if you throw a pick. If you have a turnover, man, it's okay. We'll figure it out. I need you to be aggressive. I don't think that Buffalo play happens in Buffalo with the Mike Zimmer regime under any coordinator that was there. I don't think that happens. to Justin Jefferson. Shout out to him too. We didn't even talk about it, man. Game of the year. Vikings beat Buffalo in that thriller with overtime. The craziest catch we've seen from a Viking in a very, very long time, maybe
that
ever.
was play of the year at the award show. So,
and your offensive player of the year, Justin Jefferson. We didn't even talk about it. Won his award Saturday. Very awesome. He thanked God and his family, and I love that he referenced his older brothers and just giving him crap and making him tough.
You say that, it reminds me of when Aubrey Plaza won that Emmy. It was like, first of all, I'd like to thank the devil. And then you got her coworkers behind her saying, "Don't do the devil stuff right now."
She's so funny, man. That she just oozes awkward hilarity. I love her so much. Justin Jefferson, your offensive player of the year, voted on by the press. Patrick Mahomes took MVP. Jalen Hurts was up there, but he was in the conversation. Justin Jefferson for MVP.
I believe he came in third in the voting, right?
I don't think so.
Or was it fourth?
It was closer to 4 out of the 5, but it was just cool to see his name up there because he is getting the recognition that he is a game-wrecking receiver. So,
because I know Buffalo's trainer got 1 vote.
Justin Fields got a nod, which was hilarious. That one Chicago reporter.
Who was the dipshit that voted for him?
That's so bad. What do you think,
At his
boys?
floor, he's Lamar Jackson. At his ceiling, he's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, maybe in Madden. Not with that roster. Oof. Thank God we didn't get that guy. How many times have we said that this year? The GM.
But do you remember when Bears fans used to get at us about their receivers being better than Adam Thielen? And now they're like, look at what Justin Fields is doing with all these trash receivers.
Nothing.
Like, okay, so they went one off season and their gold receivers automatically changed to trash or what?
You traded for Chase Claypool. Congratulations.
Doesn't Chicago have a boatload of money to spend this offseason, though?
Yeah, let's look at the cap real quick.
The free agent pool is not great.
It's not, but I mean, if they've got money to toss around, that's always the potential to put together a team really quick.
I'll look it up real fast.
I mean, a team, yeah, but a great team, I don't know. What are they going to spend this money on? Because as far as the free agents go, it's not really there. And are you really going to entice people to come play outside in Chicago in the winter?
They are the number 1 team, it looks like. I'm using sportsnow.com. $98.6 million.
Was Chicago's tax bracket, really?
Atlanta Falcons, 56. I'm trying to see where the Colts are. I thought they were up there. New England always has money, which is really weird. Houston, Cincinnati. I
think Chicago's going to have more trouble attracting people than they think that they're going to.
Well, yeah, because I guess the Bears aren't even staying in Chicago with that stadium, are they?
Here we go. They got a list of them. Top 5 teams, according to sportsnaut.com. Number 1, Chicago. 2, Atlanta. 3, New York Giants. 4, New England Patriots. 5, Houston Texans. And, surprisingly, the Cincinnati Bengals at 6. They will have $35 million to play with. The Vikings.
Do we even have money to spend yet?
We are negative $21 million in the hole. 28th. God, the Saints. The Saints and the Bucks are so screwed. New Orleans, negative $57 million.
God.
Tampa Bay, negative 55.
Once they cut Michael Thomas, they'll be doing a lot better.
Yeah, he'll go somewhere else. Hey, come on up to Minnesota, Slant Boy. We'll take you.
Sure.
Because, yeah, they have to cut him. Otherwise, they can't pay him the $60 million or whatever his cap hit's going to be this year.
No.
They'll eat the $20 million to save 40.
It's crazy how the NFL's money works.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so make-believe.
It's like that one NFL player. When I watched the Levitard show religiously, like 4 or 5 years ago, there's is it an MLB or I can't think of it as an MLB? Yeah, it's a baseball player. He's still getting paid like $5 million every year on the air. They named the day after him.
Yep.
Which is hilarious because he's just getting this big check every year. Pretty
Greatest
cool.
contract in sports.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Well, we've officially come up on the hour mark, boys. I think that's about it, unless you got anything else. We'll come back next week. What do we want to talk about next week, Kyle?
I believe you put running backs in the...
We're going to do running back and fullback because we have to include CJ Ham in that discussion.
Fullbacks are running backs, though.
Right.
That's what you're talking about, halfbacks and fullbacks.
Well, we're including CJ Ham, so...
We'll talk about that. We're going to do position breakdowns as I drop things unprofessionally here. Position breakdowns to kind of fill the void of the now dreaded offseason. Longest time until football starts again is today. Every day is one day closer. We're going to make it.
I'm assuming we'll keep getting little tidbits of news, whether it's, some quotes or some player signings or whatever throughout the offseason. So we will definitely have stuff to talk about moving forward, and we'll figure out some stuff. As always, we go year round. We don't take the offseason off. We also don't do multiple shows per week. So if you see us, it's usually once a week. Maybe during the offseason, we'll stretch that out to maybe once every 9-10 days or something like that. But we are always here eventually during the offseason to talk about football with you guys. And we love that you guys join us in the chat to talk about football. Feels so good to have a nice Vikings community here. Since we were number 1 on Podomatic again last week. Thank you guys for all that.
We are looking for a sponsor. Come on in, boys. I wanted to give a shout out this week on Twitter, Chicago Foodie or Skull Foodie. My phone was listening to me, as all of our devices are. And I said, man, you know what I'd love to get a hold of? Another one of those Unreal Co. Sweatshirts or hoodies, because I didn't like a lot of the color schemes they did. First of all, the price is crazy, but I'm willing to bite that if I like the style. And I have one from earlier this year. It's purple and yellow, the one that they did with team colors. But I found this one just on a Twitter thread, right place, right time. So shout out to him for getting that out quick. I really appreciate you. Made a friend on Twitter, talked a little ball, and showed him my wall of Viking stuff. So give a shout out to Skull Foodie out there in Chicago representing the Vikings.
Nice. So hit us up on social media. We are at the Purple People Podcast on the Facebooks. You can go there and you can comment on our stuff. I don't know if we've posted on there in a while, but you can catch us live there as well as on my personal Twitch, MN Viking Zombie. Also, you can catch us live on YouTube, which is how I see quite a few of you guys do. So you seem to be aware of that. But yeah, you can check out a lot of my work over on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all pretty much any social media that there is. You can hit me up at MN Viking Zombie. We can talk about sports, wrestling, whatever.
Walking Dead.
Former Viking Roman Reigns taking on Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber in Montreal.
There you go, Cliff. There's your WWE talk that you asked for earlier. These are the guys to get it from. You can stalk Kyle West here. I'm Team Stalk Kyle West every week.
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter and I believe Instagram. Not on Instagram as much, but I am out there. I post some of my photography, which we have links to on my social media. I think we've got it up on the podcast page as well, too. If you want some Purple People podcast stuff, that's where you can get it. I have some of my other work is up there as well, too. You can check it out, like I always say. Even if you don't buy anything, share it on social media, because the shares are more important, probably, than what you realize. That really helps on getting the word out. So, yeah, that'll do it for my little spiel.
Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I talk a lot of shit on Twitter, so don't pay me any mind, but I'm always calling people out for their football takes on there. I just scheduled my first twofer today, March 18th, Saturday. I am playing in my hometown of Kings Mountain, North Carolina at night, but I am back in Gastonia, the place where I originally was born. I'll be playing a St. Paddy's Day show a day after St. Paddy's Day at the Pita Wheel there. I'm a regular there. I've got a ton of dates for live music set up, and I've finally mastered my audio engineering to make my stuff. I'm very proud of the sound from my last videos from my Instagram page. Go check it out. I did a nice cover of a Chris Stapleton song, and then I did an original tune for my mother. Rest in peace to my mom. Come see me. I'm playing everywhere in the Charlotte metro area all year long. I have dates booked out all the way to December. So if you can't make it, check out my social media here, and you'll see clips usually from every show.
Speaking of dates, I hope you guys have some amazing Valentine's Day dates coming up. Lots of romance in your future, I bet.
I have one next week.
There you go.
I have a lunch date I'm excited about. That'll be it.
I'm gonna look for discount chocolate. That's my goal.
Veteran savvy move. I like that. What's your favorite chocolate, sir?
I love cordial cherries. I know I'm that guy.
Nothing wrong with that. It's you. It's your favorite. Nobody can take that away from you.
They are a little too sweet at times, but as long as you just have a couple of those, you don't want to go piling on.
What about you, Wes?
You know, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is always tough to beat. I don't know if that counts as, like,
I count
just chocolate, but, you know.
Smith strikes me as a conversation hearts kind of guy.
Those are fun props. The inappropriate ones are very fun. I'm a Reese's Peanut Butter guy. I like peanut M&Ms over the regular, but I will not discriminate against regular M&Ms. Lately, especially at work, I've been eating the shit out of Hershey's with almonds. Man, those
are good.
Love some almonds in my chocolate, but I got that from my mother. I love chocolate anyways. I'll eat just about any chocolate out there. Rolos, Milky Ways, Snickers, I don't care.
Well, we'll be back probably within a week or so, and we're going to talk about running backs as well as whatever news pops up. I do want to thank everyone again for joining. You can check out the full catalog of videos over on YouTube if you want. Otherwise, we can be wherever podcasts are found if you want to listen weekly. I'll probably have this up on iTunes and every other, Spotify and Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts, we are usually there.
It's all there. We're everywhere.
I am not a Nutella guy.
I've never had it. I've heard that it's very nice.
But I like hazelnut. It's very sweet. It is. It's like it is candy. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a spread." No, it's a substitute for peanut butter. No, it's candy.
Oh, I do have, before we sign off, I do have to tell you guys a funny story. At work yesterday, I was going to get Jersey Mike's. I didn't know that we had a Jersey Mike's in the airport. I was getting a chicken Philly. And this young lady, I'm being nice there because I don't want to call any woman old. Young lady, I could hear her accent. Don't you know? And I said, North Dakota or Minnesota? Minnesota. I said, well, that's cool. I'm a Vikings fan. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. I laugh because, it is the doom and gloom of this fan base. But you know what? She's like, I've never had this before. What should I get? And I said, I like the hot subs, but you can't go wrong with a cold sub if that's what you're into. They have good ones. And she goes, well, it was either this or Burger King because it's right next door. She's like, I'm not ever eating there again. Those commercials are terrible.
Uh-huh.
Nobody likes the Whopper.
An ad saying they're not running an ad during the Super Bowl. That made me laugh pretty hard.
She started singing the Whopper song, and I couldn't help myself. She's like, who comes up with that? It's terrible.
And you were over there fist pumping, weren't you?
I love it so much. That ill-timed stuff that you see on the internet, especially Twitter about that. Like the poor Damar Hamlin stuff, and then I know some wrestling pages did it from one of the back in the Attitude Era. They throw that in for all the stuff they used to do.
Oh yeah, that's a TikTok trend too. Is after our favorite team just lost the game, then it's like Whopper, 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 Whopper.
I just thought you guys get a kick out of that. That was funny.
Good stuff. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We will be back in about a week. So in the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.